Have you ever wanted to boost your energy and your mood? Well, what would you do if you could do all of this yourself so you can thrive and be at your very best? Our next guest is psychologist. He's a wonderful psychologist who is starting what she is calling a self-care revolution. Please welcome to Studio 10, Suzy Reading. Good morning, Suzy.
How are you?
Now, your new book is called The Self-Care Revolution. What do you mean by self-care?
Okay, self-care in a nutshell is healthcare. So that's the mantra. Self-care is healthcare, and it's nourishment for the head, the heart, and the body.
How easy is it?
Yeah. Good
Does
question.
it come in a pill?
Yeah.
Do you know, it's surprisingly accessible, and I think a lot of people are confused about what it actually means, and that's a barrier. But I'm all about empowering people with little micro moments of nourishment that are accessible, dotted throughout our day.
And so why is it so important to take on self-care?
Okay, I think there are 4 reasons. Firstly, it helps us cope during periods of stress, loss and change. It helps us recover from those same experiences. It's there to provide us with a protective buffer against future curveballs. And lastly, it gives us access to our best selves. And if you're a parent, this is how we raise compassionate and resilient kids.
Oh, God, you've got to come to my house. You've introduced a concept called the Vitality Wheel, which has 8 equal elements that people should consider for self-care. So we've got them all here. Let's have the first one on the top left there, sleep and rest. I mean, it sounds simple, relaxation and breathing. If you don't breathe, you die. But it is actually critical to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sleep is vastly underrated, right? You know, you snooze, you lose is a pretty dangerous adage. So the reason why I've got sleep, rest, relaxation and breathing in that same spoke of the Vitality Wheel is they all stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps mediate stress. Because as a parent, we all know, and not just parents, you know, carers or busy professionals, sometimes good sleep is completely inaccessible.
Oh, yeah.
But in its place, we rest. And when that's not accessible, then we work with our breathing, because that's also very soothing and healing.
Right, and movement and nutrition obviously are important.
Yes.
And that means like any sort of movement, like you don't have to run a marathon.
You've nailed it. That's it. It's not necessarily structured sport or fitness. It's any movement, whether it's dancing with your kids, hoovering, music, you know, whatever it is. Gardening, exactly. Get your hands in the soil. Any movement has a potent antidepressant effect. And in terms of nutrition, I think quite often we're thinking about we eat to nourish the physical body, but we actually need to nourish our mood and our mental clarity.
Is there one part of the wheel that's more important than another part of the wheel?
No, I think it's more about whatever resonates for you. So that's another reason why self-care is a bit nebulous, because what one person finds nourishing, someone else mightn't, and also
Better to do some of the wheel than none of the wheel.
Oh, absolutely. We've got to be touching with different spokes, but it's what resonates for you in the moment, because your needs, your individual needs will change over time as well.
And the next one is coping. I mean, that's easy to say. How do we actually do it?
In the book, I have lots of specific coping strategies. Shall we do one now?
Yeah, take us through it.
So this one is called the blue circle of control. So for a moment, just close your eyes. Imagine in front of you a vibrant blue circle. In that circle...
What colour blue does it have to be?
Whatever you
Turquoise.
Inside that circle is everything that lies within your control. Outside that blue circle is plain white, and that denotes anything that's beyond your control. Okay? So open your eyes. Basically, we spend an awful lot of time worrying about stuff that lies outside of that blue circle that we have no control over. So ask yourself, if you're in a bit of a flap, ask yourself, does it lie within my blue circle? Is it in my circle of control? And my 7-year-old uses this tool.
It's the same as the Serenity Prayer, if you know that one.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
as in,
it's tapping into
know the
that,
difference.
but it's a visual. It's
Don't
a
sweat
visual...
the small stuff kind of thing.
Well,
That's right. Isn't it God, give me the patience to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Exactly correct.
So the mantra is, can I do anything about this? And if you can, you do something about it. If you can't, well,
let it go.
We've got to let it go.
Did you make up the wheel, or is it come from your knowledge and experience, or where does this
It's
concept
based
come?
on my own personal experience. It's based on my study as a psychologist. It's positive psychology, CBT. I'm also a yoga teacher, so there's yoga philosophy in there, and I spent a decade working as a personal trainer. So it's all of my study and all of my experience into one diagram that will give people access to something nourishing in the moment.
And all those things you mentioned before are internal, but there's also external stuff you mentioned, which is nature and social connection. Are they the same thing? Are talking to trees the same as talking to people, or...?
Could be.
Is it?
So, tapping into nature is all about the therapeutic benefits of nature. Okay, it's like hitting the reboot button. How lucky are we in this country?
Yep.
My goodness. But it's also having a look at your home environment, the office environment, the environment that you commute in, and how is it that you can harness it to boost your well-being, right? Outer order creates inner harmony. But it's also nourishing the skin that we live in. You know, this is traditional self-care. You know, we feel good after we have our hairs on, right? So it's just reminding people of those kinds of...
So if your external environment is not making you happy, change your external environment.
Yeah, what can you do? Yeah.
And what about something that would frustrate a lot of people are their goals and values? You put goals and values together. How do they tie in?
Do you know, I've actually got them into separate spokes. So goals is with accomplishment.
Forget I said that.
You're-
Tash did the research for me on this one, and I don't know what happened.
So I've got goals and accomplishment together. And I think it's really important to reflect on accomplishment because too often we fritter away that real sense of zest that's available in actually reflecting on what we've achieved. So that is a great way of engaging in self-care. And then values is a separate segment, and that's literally about what's your why.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you must tie your goals into your values. That's the best way to form a goal.
Right.
Your goals need to be in service.
And another thing you've got there, Suzy, is mood boosters. I used to pop those when I was at university.
Right.
Are we talking about something different?
A little different.
Right.
A little different.
They don't come in a tablet.
Mood boosters, that's one of my favourite types of self-care. There are self-care activities that boost the mood, and then there are skills that boost the mood. So activities would be like listening to a piece of music that you love, or using scent that you love, or wearing a colour that you love, or watching, listening, reading to anything that you find uplifting. But then mood-boosting skills would be things like compassion, kindness, gratitude, and savouring. And when you get good at those things, you have something uplifting and energising at your fingertips reach wherever you are.
Yeah.
A good tip I heard once was every morning, think of 3 things you're grateful for.
Yes.
And also the best way to feel good is to do something good for someone else.
Yeah, that very well said, Joe. Well, if you want to learn more about how you can take part in the self-care revolution, you can head to your local bookstore and pick up a copy of Suzy's fantastic new book. Suzy, thanks for joining us this morning. Much appreciated on Easter Monday. Happy Easter.